Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful morning. It is April 21st, 2025, and we got a really interesting day on our hands because something last night during the Asian Center, interesting day on our hands because all of a sudden, the dollar started going crazy, currencies, and the fear started to come back. And what was it based off of? It is literally having to do with Jerome Powell getting fired. If you guys remember on Friday, we actually got that early report. If you remember, well, yeah, take note. That's pretty much starting to hit again. So you woke up today. Everybody is worried about the whole Fed independence. Is Powell getting fired? But the difference now, you actually have bonds going the right way. If you guys remember what I told you guys on Friday, I was saying it's kind of weird because although people are saying they're freaking out about Powell, you didn't have the bonds doing it. And now that's starting to play out. So if you haven't looked at TLT, you have gold going crazy. Bonds are at a breaking point, and we are starting off this week with a little bit more of Powell and bond freakout. And yeah, I know it's sad. Literally, J.D. Vance was the last person to see him. I don't know if that's suspicious, but the Pope has also passed away as well. So he has been Pope Francis since 2013. He has passed away after that pneumonia. It's very sad. So there's a couple of other things. A wild-ass morning already. And Chad, I hope you're excited to be back, baby. Happy Monday. Oh, man. Good morning, baby. What up, Dos? Tim Whitman, Mark, Anzo, Deco, Lego, Laker, Jay. Good morning, baby. What up, Sarai? What up, Dr. J's Cash, baby? Ivan, CM, Legal, Capavelli, I.O., baby. What's going on? Alyssa, Rigo, Music Junkie, Caesar, Big Dumb Animal. Good morning, baby. What up, Mr. Edwards? What up, Bros B? What up, Tama, Max, FM, Gunner, Caesar, Jerry Wood. Yeah. Good morning, baby. Happy Monday. What up, Peaches? What up, Forrest Gump? What up, Ken? What up, El Trapato? Oh, my goodness. Good morning. Luis, baby. Oh, you love the flag of West? Oh, I know. Yeah, we got Miss Swiss Miss involved, baby. What up, Anthony? What up, Greg? Ale, John Says. Good morning. What about that Twitch? El Coyote, Gregory Scott, Stock Sasquatch, Lord Boomerang, Lincens, Jamie, Iron Beagle, Payday Devil, 12 Jimin, Blowing Doll, Danny V, Robo Handtech, Pie Guy 23, Donnie, and Blazing Bob, baby. Good morning. So, Chatadonia. I hope you're ready. It's going to be a weird one. Again, even on Friday, we also had earnings. Don't forget, you have about 25% of the S&P. They are reporting this week. But like I'm saying, that whole Powell freak out and how that was your last headline on Friday, I vividly remember it. Or Thursday, I think it's very interesting. Yeah, bro, gold hit 3,400 an ounce. It's insane. So, yeah, we have a lot. But in the meantime, here is Josh AI with the news. Good morning. U.S. stock futures and dollar sink on Powell threats. U.S. stock futures and the dollar weakened sharply as traders reacted to the possibility that President Donald Trump will try to remove Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell. S&P 500 futures sank 1.3% and the dollar index weakened to a 15-month low with Wall Street set to reopen after the Easter break. Treasuries fell, pushing the 10-year yield close to 4.4%. Gold jumped above $3,390 an ounce. Oil slumped 2%. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett said on Friday that Trump is studying whether he's able to fire Powell. The comments raise new questions about whether the Fed can maintain its long-standing independence, with the president increasingly venting dissatisfaction in harsh terms that the central bank hasn't moved to lower interest rates. Rebuking the Fed risks politicizing U.S. monetary policy in a way that markets will find deeply unsettling, said Christopher Wong, a currency strategist at Overseas Chinese Banking Corp. Frankly, firing Powell stretches belief, said Wong. If the credibility of the Fed is called into question, it could severely erode confidence in the dollar. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index slid 0.8% on Monday. Every group of 10 currency gained gained against the greenback. The jump in the yen weighed on stock indexes in Japan, pushing the Nikkei 225 down 1.3%. The yen, euro, and Swiss franc rallied. Brent fell as much as 2% to below $67 a barrel. European stock markets were largely still shut for a public holiday. Fed Chicago President Austin Goolsbee warned against efforts to curtail the central bank's independence. There's virtual unanimity among economists that monetary independence from political interference, that the Fed or any central bank be able to do the job that it needs to do, is really important, Goolsbee said on CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday. Legal scholars say that a president can't dismiss a Fed chair easily, and Powell has previously said he wouldn't resign if asked by Trump. In a sign that investors are rotating investments away from the U.S., Deutsche Bank AG said that Chinese clients have reduced some of their treasuries holdings in favor of European debt. European high-quality bonds, Japanese government bonds, and gold are likely to be the potential choices for investors as alternatives to treasuries, said Lillian Tao, head of China macro and global emerging market sales at the bank. Tesla Inc. slipped 3% in pre-market trading. Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives said the company faces a code red moment as it prepares to report earnings on Tuesday, and that Elon Musk should step back from his work at the Department of Government Efficiency to focus on Tesla. China warns nations not to cut U.S. trade deals at its expense. China warned countries against striking deals with the U.S. that could hurt Beijing's interests, upping the ante in the trade war with Washington and showing how others risk getting caught in the middle. While it respects nations resolving their trade disputes with the U.S., Beijing resolutely opposes any party reaching a deal at the expense of China's interests. The Ministry of Commerce said in a statement Monday, if that happens, Beijing will never accept it and will resolutely take reciprocal countermeasures. The ministry added, China is willing to strengthen solidarity and coordination with all parties, jointly respond and resist unilateral bullying acts. U.S. profit outlook rarely this sour, Morgan Stanley's Wilson says. Analysts are busy slashing earnings estimates in the U.S. due to the risk of a severe economic slowdown, according to Morgan Stanley's Michael Wilson. The S&P 500's earnings revisions breadth, or analyst estimates upgrades versus downgrades, is now at levels rarely witnessed, approaching downside extremes in the absence of a recession. The strategist said companies face more uncertainty than they have since the early days of the pandemic. He wrote in a note, this is weighing on earnings revisions. Analysts' expectations have come down significantly. They cut their estimates for first quarter S&P 500 earnings per share growth to 6.9% from 11.4% at the start of the year, according to data compiled by Bloomberg Intelligence. Wilson points out that earnings revision breadth peaked almost a year ago. That's well before the S&P 500 reached its most recent record, supporting his view that the correction is far more advanced than acknowledged by the consensus size. This is why we are now more interested in looking at stock sectors that may have discounted a mild recession already, even if the broader index has not, he said. In short, if a recession is averted, markets likely made their lows 2 weeks ago. If not, the S&P 500 will likely take those lows out. Pope Francis, promoter of more compassionate church, dies at 88. Francis passed away at 7:35 a.m. Monday in Rome. The Vatican said in a statement he had been hospitalized in Rome in mid-February with bronchitis, which progressed to pneumonia in both lungs, the last in a litany of respiratory and other medical challenges he had faced. On Sunday, he had met with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance. Top overnight news, Pete Hegseth shared sensitive plans about Yemen strikes in a Signal chat with his wife, brother, and personal lawyer. The NYT reported, China has stopped buying LNG from the U.S. in the latest sign of economic decoupling between the two countries. Chinese purchases have been dwindling for months, but have now come to a complete halt, SODS NYT. In response to pressure from the Chinese government, Chinese state-backed funds are cutting off new investment in U.S. private equity in the latest salvo against Trump's trade war. FT. Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of violating a 30-hour truce and reiterated his proposal for an extension. BBG. South Korea has found increased attempts to disguise foreign products as Korean exports, primarily from China, to avoid U.S. President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs, its customs agency said on Monday. The Korea Customs Service said it has found $29.5 billion $20.81 million worth of violations related to country of origin from the first quarter, with U.S.-bound shipments accounting for 97% of the total. After a special probe last month, RTRS, Japan's PM Shigeru Ishiba said his country won't concede to all U.S. demands in levy talks. BBG. Japan's ruling party will today propose emergency measures in response to U.S. tariffs, including loan support and boosting demand. The draft proposal criticizes the tariffs as undermining free trade. BBG. No, BBG. There's more. Good morning. And yeah, I have something else to show you. We gotta clear it up. I have some pretty pictures. There's a lot of info out there, but we have more. Good morning. So S&P futures, they are down by 1.1 Monday morning, though off the worst pre-market levels. Comes after U.S. equities were largely on the defensive last week, with the Dow and NASDAQ off more than 2.5, and the S&P down by 1.5. S&P and NASDAQ down for the third time in the last 4 weeks. Treasuries mixed with a notable curve steepening move. Yields at the back end of the curve up 7 to 8 basis points. Dollar down by 1.1, a touch off the worst levels, and gold is up by 2.6, with Bitcoin up by 2.8 and WTI down by 2.4. U.S. assets pressured by concerns about Fed independence comes amid heightened scrutiny around surrounding U.S. exceptionalism, safe haven theme from Trump trade policies. After Trump criticized Powell last week for not cutting rates, Hassett said on Friday, Trump and his team are studying whether or not he is able to fire Powell. Nothing particularly incremental when it comes to trade talks. However, trade headlines increasingly focus on negative spillover effects to corporate and consumer level. Also, concerns about potential for U.S.-China tensions to expand beyond trade. While still very early in Q1 earnings season, uncertainty seems to be the big theme. Depressed systematic positioning and retail dip buying resilience as seen as some of the more bullish talking points. Nothing on the economic calendar this morning. Chicago Fed President Goolsbee said short-run inflation is up, but long-run not rising. Over the weekend, Goolsbee cautioned against efforts to curtail central bank independence, arguing it would undermine the credibility. Fairly quiet week ahead of the macro perspective, with the highlight likely to be flash PMIs on Wednesday and final Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. Busy in terms of Fed speak. Jefferson, Harker, Kashkari, Barkin, Kugler on Tuesday. Goolsbee, Musalem, and Waller on Wednesday, and then Kashkari on Thursday. Apple saw its share of Chinese phone market shrink further in Q1. Tesla reportedly delaying launch of cheaper Model Y in U.S. by months, dialing back Cybertruck production due to soft demand. Netflix said not seeing any notable impact from concerns about tariff headwind on consumer confidence. Ford reportedly halted shipments of F-150 Raptors, Mustangs, and Broncos. Lincoln and Navigators to China. Boeing said to be flying back jets to U.S. that were refused by Chinese airline customers. Eli Lilly to manufacture new weight loss pills in U.S. for global market. Pepsi reportedly at a disadvantage to Coca-Cola in trade war given concentrate production in Ireland. DFS and Capital One expected to close deal in May after receiving final regulatory approval. Wow, so nice. So nice. They get the approval. But that's it. So again, you got the temporary electronics, bullish talking points. Again, select positive trade developments, rate stabilization. Big banks, Bank of America and Citi suggested broader consumer resilient theme intact. March headline retail sales were up to the surprise to the upside last week. Positioning dynamics supportive as buybacks resume in the next week. Q1 earnings season, 24% of the S&P to report this week. Tesla, IBM, Google. S&P blended EPS growth rate is 7.2, is around the expected level, though EPS beats are running below the recent average. 3-month guidance rate is the weakest since COVID. Oh my gosh, I did not know that. So EPS and revenue beats have led by just half a percentage point. Share price is outperforming, suggesting Q1 results matter far less given the tariff overhangs. So, that's it. I thought there would be more headlines, but again, like I told you guys last night, just out of nowhere, futures weren't that bad, and then literally everybody started freaking out about Powell and Fed independence. So, we're going to talk about that a little more. We got some pre-market movers, though. Discover DFS, they're up by 6.2. Capital One receives final regulatory approval for the merger. INFY is up by 4.4 upgrades at BOB Capital, and Alara downgraded at Goldman. Capital One is up 4.4, receives final regulatory approval. MSTR is up by 2.6. Netflix up by 1.9. Earnings from Friday or Thursday. I think they're still up on that. Orla is up by 6.1 nothing. LBRT 3.2 nothing. BHC 2.7 nothing. BTDR 2.1 nothing. HUT is up by 2.0. Northland Capital upgrade. MLEC is up 16. Business combination agreement with multiple tech platforms. KOD is up 6. Com up 3. Gold related stocks trading higher, trading lower. Tesla down 4, reportedly delaying launch of cheaper Model Y and delaying some Cybertruck. Nvidia down by 3.3. ANET down by 2.8. VRT down by 2.8. Shopify down 2.8. SMCI down 2.8, APO down 2.4 points. Gary Cohen as lead independent director. CEO Mark Rowan expanded role of CEO and onboard chair. CRM down 2.1. Guggenheim Securities upgrade. AMET down 2.1. FTNT down 2.1. Meta down 1.8. Reportedly sought Llama funding from Amazon and Microsoft. Amazon down 1.7, Raymond James downgrade, AMKR down 2.5, B. Riley downgrade, Hertz down 9, CRDO down 3.1, JetBlue down 3, ACLS down 2.1, B. Riley's downgrade, ADGM down 24, LITM down 20, 50 million at the money sales agreement, SXTC down 17.6, ELPW down 6.2, and I think that's it. I think that is it, yeah. So the algo picked up a lot of names on the low. So you can see it's one of those days, tech and everything pretty much down 2. I mean, you are gap down 1.1. It was a little worse earlier. So we will see where that leads us. But yes, today is going to be Fed Independence Day. It's a very different vibe from Friday. I don't know if you guys recall, because you got some of these headlines already. And if you remember, the last couple of days, we were holding up. So to kind of react like this, even watching it all around the world, make no mistake, I'm very locked in today. I hope you are too, because look at the bonds. So we're getting right back to the level, and I was telling you on Friday, it didn't make sense on Friday, the reaction you had with bonds, because if people were really worried about Powell, it would have been bad for yields. And now today, that one little rumor that we had on Friday, that seems to be materializing, okay? So there's that, and then are you ready? Before we have time, actually, yeah, so we should go talk about plays, and we should do the pledge, but I'm going to give you guys one. I probably should wait till we get to general pop, because everyone's going to bring this up, but it's a lie. So the whole idea of everybody telling you that, like, other countries are selling U.S. bonds, yeah, bro, that's a psyop. I know, it sounds wild, but why? Because, like, literally, there is zero evidence of rest of the world selling treasury funds. Not to mention all of the bond auctions that were good in the last couple. It's really weird. That's why I'm telling you, whatever we're seeing right now in the bond market, there's something else that I still don't think has been discussed. And although everyone's trying to put it and blame a lot of things, go look at gold right now and go look at it all. But this isn't normal, and it's not like this is. I don't know if it's worse or better. That's the exact question you should be asking. It's not like, oh, there's no foreign sellers, that okay, we don't have to worry. No, it's like, wait a minute, that may not be the reason, but the bond market's still getting messed up right now. So yeah. We'll see where that leads us, but again, we already heard a little bit of that in the morning headlines, so keep that in mind. But Chattadonia, I hope you guys are locked and loaded. I hope you guys are ready, because now we must begin our morning. And here at the Cult, baby, before we do anything, before we try to chase the dollar, before we try to enrich ourselves, we must pay homage to a very special group of people that has made a sacrifice that most of us never have and ever will. And I'm talking about the veterans of the United States of America. So on behalf of the Cult, the people here, the people not here, for real, man, if you have served this country, even the families who have sacrificed so much, thank you, thank you, thank you. If anybody should be getting a crib, a long-term, it should be you, my veteran friends. If you ever need any advice, information, do not hesitate to reach out. And at the bare minimum, every morning, we just want to honor you guys for what you have given for this country. Every day, we all get to take advantage of this freedom, and not all of us really contributed to it. So the veterans, day in, day out, bro, they have served this beautiful nation. They have allowed this freedom that we take for granted so easily. So every morning, veterans, thank you, thank you, thank you. And honestly, man, if you haven't served, I really hope you show and bring this love and appreciation to real life. So veterans, God bless you all. And big shout out anybody else out there giving back to their local communities, all the doctors, nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, the janitors, the coaches, the garbage men. Anybody making their community grow, baby. Let's go. God bless you and thank you. Keep it running. But ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, baby. Son of the judge! Oh, it's game time, baby. Oh, nah, let's go. Oh, Chad Adonia. Oh, you ready? You ready? I hope you rested up. 3 days off, and then you wake up to the power freak out. It's going to be fun. That's it. You got a little bit of drama. Today is like a novella for the market now. You realize that you're down 1% on drama. This isn't because, oh, no, my gosh, is he going to lose it? This is literally the other reality show that Donald Trump was a part of called The Apprentice. You guys realize that? This is literally the live Apprentice right now, but with the Fed chair. And it's kind of funny. But that being said, Chatadonia, we got a couple of plays. We got a couple more things we need to go over, but I think it's time. I think we got to move on over. Powell versus Trump, baby. So, yeah, we'll go over plays here in a second. I hope you guys are locked and loaded, but here it is. It's time to move on over. I will see you guys over at Gen Pop. Game time. Game time. Thank you all. Shout out to the vets, baby. Shout out to the vets. Happy Monday. All right, is it going to take you there? I think it will. All right, locked and loaded, baby. I'll see you guys there. Peace.